welcome. You're watching the weekly edition of Your Trades on ET Now with me, Sneha. With me is Priyanka Uppal. And Priyanka, what a week it's been for the Nifty because,
roller coaster ride.
Roller coaster, because imagine last 30 seconds of the trading week, Nifty has managed to inch a life high level. And if you saw the index, especially on the day of the budget and the days after that on Tuesday or Wednesday, you would not have predicted that this is going to happen at the end of the week. But well, yes, fresh record high coming in for the Nifty, closed slightly below that level, but no complaints at all when it comes to Nifty. Let's talk about some big news over the week that we saw, but before that, let me just quickly touch upon what the weekly moves look like. You had Pharma, that was your biggest winner. Media, auto, energy, FMCG, IT, metal, all of these indices have closed the week in the green. On the flip side, Nifty Bank slightly under pressure. Nifty Realty was under pressure. PSU Banks also under pressure. Without getting into stock specifics, let's talk about why Nifty Realty was under pressure. And this was on the back of some announcements that were seen in the budget. The main one being the withdrawal of indexation. Now, this is the provision where you could inflate the price of your property based on the indexation rate or the CCI and pay the capital gain only on the difference between the selling price and this inflated price. But now this provision has been taken away. So that was one key factor that was weighing on the Nifty Realty Index. But once there was some more clarification gained on this, that index also managed to recover but has still closed in the red. Other than that, you have LTCG and STCG, the long-term and short-term capital gains on financial instruments. They have been raised. STCG at 20%, long term at 12.5%. So lots to watch out for on that front as well. Big news, of course, was the budget that went by. Other than that, Nifty also main index to watch out for because very stellar moves coming in. And well, yes, lots of results coming in, lots of brokerage action coming in. But Priyanka, tell us more about that. What stood out to you this week?
In fact, if you see this week itself, there were two major reasons that one has to track. One was a global sell-off, what we saw in the tech sell-off, led by earnings from Tesla and Alphabet. And post then, we even saw the kind of movement that we saw in yen, US Q2 GDP, that lifted the sentiment because that was above the estimation. These were shrugging off the entire jitters which could have on the global front. Nifty did touch an all-time high today, and that to be on a day which was a budget-heavy week. Sentiment were clearly shaken because of budget, but then later the kind of moves, especially the trends which auto and pharma, they bucked the trend, and in fact both the sectors were 5% up this week. Oil and gas pack also, Snehi, stood out. It stood out tall throughout the week with gainers from stocks like ONGC, Oil and Gas, Oil India, and in fact OMC stocks also. But then you talk about what caught my attention was the banking space, which of course clearly Bank Nifty lost around about 2,000 points. But what a fantastic recovery, a pullback rally what we saw today. Majorly because of the Axis Bank earnings, coupled with what RBI issued, the draft liquidity coverage ratio norms also. That weighted heavily on banks. But then we saw a smart recovery, but you mind it, HDFC Bank did not lose its ground throughout the week. That was one sign which we could make out that maybe banks are in for a pullback rally or not. But then the other stocks which we clearly tracked during the week was auto stocks. Tata Motors post the upgrade from Nomura, saw 6% surge in trade yesterday. Not just Tata Motors DVR was also 5-6% up. And in fact, a couple of names from the Pharma side, Pharma and FMCG, these two packs remain to be strong. We have our fundamental expert also joining in the show. We'll even put up the question also. But then macro front also we need to be very watchful because of course today being the CPI figures coming in from US and next week is the FOMC meet. So that's the main gauge for FOMC, Fed chair also. And understanding that amid the entire tech sell-off, there are questions about Magnificent Seven. How would they perform? But then let's get our experts on the show now. We have in studio today Chandan Tapadia to talk on the technical front today, and we also have our expert with us to talk about Mr. Mahantesh on, he's an independent market expert to talk on the market fundamentals. Welcome to both of you. Quickly, since Chandan is with us, Chandan, now what a day. Did it surprise you? Ultimately, at the end of the day, we were touching another all-time high today.
What a fantastic day.
Yeah.
The Nifty index has really dwelled by more than 650 points in last two trading sessions. It really dwelled from support of 24,200 to all the way to 24,861 by hitting a new milestone. So it clearly shows that bears are active only for few hours and bulls are just dominating at every small decline. So the major trend is intact, and even after the underperformance of the banking index, the Nifty managed to hold well. And we believe that such kind of momentum in the liquidity is clearly indicates that bullish stance could continue. So as of now, till Nifty holds about 24,500 zone, ongoing momentum could accelerate beyond 25,250 to 25,500 level. We have seen a decline in the India weeks post the event. The volatility index has corrected from 16 to below 12 levels. So lower volatility with jump in the put call ratio and higher base of the market with support of all the technical indicators clearly indicate that momentum could continue. So I believe till it holds about 24,500, continue to be with bullish resistance. Market has more upside from current levels.
Alright, so 24,500 key support level to watch out for coming in from Chandan. But before we come back to you, Chandan, I also want to bring in Mahintesh into this discussion. And Mahintesh, hi, thanks so much for taking the time out and joining us. Now, I want to talk to you about the entire banking space, right? Because intraday, if you take a look at banks, slightly under pressure, but over the course of the week, they've done pretty well when you talk about banks. And let me just quickly take a look at, in fact, it's the other way around. Weekly, banks seem to be under pressure. Intraday, they've done well. Now, I want to bring you in and your opinion on the entire RBI draft circular that we did see coming in for banks, and LCR is likely to be expected. Private banks were in focus on the back of that. What sense are you making of this circular, and what kind of impact are you foreseeing for all of these banks that will be affected by the circular?
So primarily the RBI, if you recall in the past, was very concerned about the asset quality of the banks, and therefore we saw a big compression that happened in terms of the NPAs gradually easing out of the system. That done, the RBI is now worried a little bit more about what are the liquidity conditions that most of the private banks kind of maintain. And now it is likely to bring in the next round of reforms in terms of the LCR exposure. Particularly, you have huge banking transactions that are now happening online. And there are a lot of concerns related to the security on online transactions, concerns related to liquidity positions of banks, because your systems can get hit by a huge liquidity surge. This seems to be a step in the right direction, but I, foresee that most of the banks are geared up to face any liquidity challenges that they may foresee ahead.
Mahintesh and Chandan, please be with us. So in the meantime, we'll just directly take you to the Cipla, wherein the management is addressing the media. Umang Vora, MD and Global CEO for Cipla, he's speaking. Let's listen in.
By Revlimid generic, and is the US business sustainable at $250 million? And are these margins sustainable?
Yeah, I think Ekta, the lenalidomide business is now, it will grow. It is probably within the last year's quarter as much, and it is in this year's quarter. There might be a marginal growth in it, but that business is part of the numbers. So obviously, whatever we are posting includes lenalidomide. However, the uptick we have seen is more out of our recent launches as well as the market share gain in albuterol. I did mention earlier that we believe that a sustainable level for the US business at the higher end of this range is 240. So 235 to 240 million is where we think is the normal range for a US business now.
The next question is from Vishwanath, The Economic Times. What are the key products that contributed for US growth? Any update on Abraxane and Advair?
So the key products are albuterol, where we gained share. The key products are lanreotide, where we launched a new ANDA. The key products are, lenalidomide, of course. And there are a few others that, budesonide has always been there. But those are some of our key products. Nano-paclitaxel, I think we will provide more update in the subsequent quarters. I believe we are now waiting the classification of Goa post the audit. as well as the site transfer activities are progressing well. We had some amount of an issue earlier, but I believe we are now progressing that activity as too. And adware, we are currently in batches in the US, so we should be filing that product with the FDA very soon.
The next question is from Anju again. Cipla, along with many peers, has a non-exclusive patent license agreement with Takeda to commercialize vonoprazan in India. Given that Takeda has 4 to 5 Indian partners for the same product, how does Cipla differentiate itself, or is it essentially about addressing pipeline gaps?
Well, it has to start by addressing a pipeline gap to start with. The second issue that maybe I would raise is that after a very long time, there is a pantoprazole or an anti-ulcerant category product which has come in, which is vonoprazole. And this has come after a very long time. We had omeprazole, esomeprazole, and then pantoprazole, and there was literally nothing else which was coming in. So this is new innovation in a large category in India, and it's a pipeline gap for Cipla. So it fills all of those three. I guess the other thing is that from a Cipla perspective, we really don't have a very big PPI, a PPI product like vonoprazole or pantoprazole that we sell in our branded division. And so therefore, this product is one important product for us.
The next questions are from Sushmita, Financial Express. Is Cipla planning to diversify into new therapeutic areas in FY25? And also, could you share upcoming plans for your product portfolio?
Yes, I think we are diversifying away. We've diversified into neurology, into epilepsy. We've got the Sanofi licensing with the Sanofi portfolio. So yes, we are diversifying. We've identified 2 new areas over and above lung leadership, antimicrobial resistance and wellness. They're obesity and mental health. So we are looking at building our therapies in those areas as well.
All right, on that note, we'll slip into a short breather on this edition of Your Trades. We'll be right back with the week that went by and what to expect going into next week right on the other side of this break, so you stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're watching Your Trades. Chandan and Mahantesh both are with us. Chandan, now help us understand how to approach August series. August series, if you check the seasonality, 3 out of 5 times in the last 5 years has done well. But then the kind of data that we have entered in the August series, you talk about the rollover figures, we are below 3 series of average. FI contracts in July, at the start of the July contract, FI's long and index futures were more than 80%. We are short here also. We're nearly 56% now. And not just this, even their long contracts have also reduced.
So yes, first if I look at the rollover data setup, Nifty has seen rollover of near 70%, which is lower than its previous month rollover of 76%, even lower than the 3 months average of 72.8%. So rollover is lower, but the good part is that we have seen some short covering and open interest addition is visible at the lower side. So the good part is that position was slightly lower in terms of rollover, and that is the reason that market could see the short covering today. If I look at the entire setup, we have seen some consolidative move in last 10-12 days, but at the same time sustained put writing was clearly visible and your volatility index was lower along with rising put call ratio. So if I talk about the next series, I believe 24,200 to 24,400 could act as a major support to extend this rally towards 25,200 to 25,500 level. In fact, I believe some short covering could be there because many writers are done the activities in 25,000 strike. So unwinding in 25,000 strike could see the pressure to the writers and might give some short covering. So that is one reason that we are expecting the bullish stance in the Nifty index. Now talk about the Bank Nifty. Here we have seen some sort of weakness if I look at the weekly chart. However, it recovered well by 0.8% but still is down by around 2% on week basis. So here we have seen some kept upside, cold writing was seen, but today's recovery we need to see whether the follow-up get activity or no. So 51,500, 51,750 is a crucial zone. If Bank Nifty moves above the same, then only the short covering could trigger. But as of now, it's clear that Nifty is holding well, bulls are commanding the market.
All right, bulls taking charge of the market, and those are some key levels to watch out for on Nifty as well as Nifty Bank. But Mahantesh, I'm going to come back to you. I want to ask you and get a little bit of a sense on the entire consumption space, because the budget also had a lot of provisions to aid rural recovery, and that is one space that all these FMCG companies were slightly worried about. But last quarter also we did see some commentary on rural demand improving. So on the back of all of these budget provisions that have been made for the consumption space, are you seeing any kind of run up in these stocks coming in? Because if you see ITC was trading at an all-time high as well. Nestle, a slight bit of a miss, but HUL numbers were also good this time around. So give us a sense of what the entire FMCG outlook is going ahead, and would this be an attractive space to you now?
So firstly, the FMCG space has seen over the years, past many years, volume contraction or a very tepid growth in terms of volumes. So whatever profit growth that the companies were achieving were through either price increases or through premiumization generally, where there is a shift upwards of various products. But this is the first time we should see, and when I say first time, this will be the first post-monsoon season where we should see volumes actually start recovering, led, of course, by the rural segment. And as you mentioned, the budget has been a little more conducive this time for consumption. Not just rural side, but even urban. Consider the over 70,000 crore allocations for the internship training and new employment generations that is being allocated for this year. It's an overall 5-year vision under which the amount will be spread. An amount of roughly 2.5 lakh crores will be spread out over 5 years. But the first year starts with a bang with closer to 70,000 odd crore. That will boost, and if this scheme is administered successfully, that will give a big boost to consumption, because you will find that the youth particularly are more attuned to newer product launches, and therefore bring in the first set of volume kicker that any product gets launched in the FMCG space. So I'm quite positive about the sector's growth prospects ahead.
To focus on consumption space, Mahantesh, also tell us that what is your view on rupee, how to approach rupee at the moment, because there's a view that maybe RBI will let it fall to the levels of 84 against dollar by the year end, and the main concerns are because this will help government attract large-scale manufacturing investments.
So firstly, if you look at the fundamental basis for rupee valuation in terms of RER, then rupee is currently actually quite overvalued. So that there is a case that can be made out to say that rupee should depreciate over the period of time. But as you know, RBI is maintaining tight ropes now, and one of the reasons why RBI is holding on to the rupee levels is because they are concerned about what's likely to happen in terms of currency outflows ahead, with the US Fed poised to reduce interest rates ahead. There could be a situation where temporarily we might find a lot of funds going back to the US, because lower interest rates in the US would give a boost to the local economy. There would mean better equity earnings and so on and so forth. So there could be a surge of money flowing back to the US. So the direction for the rupee, while it suggests should depreciate, I think RBI is more concerned about the impact that it can have potentially on both the inflation side as well as overall liquidity position on the forex side.
All right, thanks Mantesh for that view coming in on the dollar versus rupee, and lots to watch out for on the US front as well, because FOMC next week, big announcements could be expected, not this time around, but an indication of a rate cut is what the street is hoping for, while a hold rating or a hold stance is what the street is penciling in. But Shandan, I'm going to come back to you. You have some stock-specific ideas that you wish to share with our viewers. Tell us what's looking attractive heading into next week.
Yeah, so first head will be buy on Indian Hotel. We have seen a decent recovery after the profit booking decline of last 4 weeks. It witnessed a momentum from 572 to 650 zone. We have seen some short covering and put writing is clearly visible in the current series. It has managed to give a consolidation breakout above 620, 625. So with all these data setup, I'm expecting next leg of rally which can surpass the even recent high and scale up towards 690. So one can buy with support of 630 in Indian Hotel. Second trading idea, I'll focus on the Bharti Airtel. I believe that selective telecom stocks could do well, and Bharti is one of the strongest counter which has been holding the multiple support near 1425 to 1450. It has given a consolidation breakout. Data setup clearly indicates fresh leg of rally, so one can buy with support to 1485 and look for an upside target towards 1575, 1580 levels.
All right, Chandan, since we've seen that the sector rotation is very clearly visible in a very smaller sector rotation, very small cycles we've seen, which sectors do you think are going to do well in the August series? Should we keep, again, focus on auto and pharma, which were the top gainers for this week also?
So Priyanka, I have done the detailed study on the RRG relative rotation graph.
Sure.
And what I noticed in that relative rotation graph, that Nifty IT is coming out as a star, which was lagging earlier 12 weeks back, has gone to lagging to improving and now shifting towards the leading quadrant. That means momentum and strength is clearly coming back in the Nifty IT. So I believe this is going to be one sector which can do well comparatively. And I believe if Nifty IT has to do well, then obviously there should be the recovery in the Nasdaq as well. And we are waiting some announcement from global market. Apart from that, yes, Nifty Auto we cannot forget. We have seen a decent recovery, and technically speaking, the Nifty Auto has been giving a consolidation breakout of last 27 trading session. And with the support of Tata Motors, M&M and all heavyweights, I believe Nifty Auto can deliver the gain of 5 to 8% over the next couple of weeks. So, and then one more sector we cannot forget is the Nifty Pharma, doing well from last couple of days. So these three will be the top sector on my radar: Nifty Auto, Nifty IT and Nifty Pharma, and I believe these sector could generate alpha. While if you ask me some sort of capped upside, then I think BFSI will be one segment, and in BFSI I think the Bank Nifty could find some hurdle at higher levels. However, we have seen a decent recovery from the lows, but I believe 3-4 sector which I discussed will generate better alpha than the Bank Nifty index.
All right, Mahantesh and Chandan, first of all, Chandan, thanks for that answer. But on that note, gentlemen, Mahantesh and Chandan, both, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your valuable insights on what to expect going ahead into this new series and into the week ahead. But on that note, let's get you an opinion from the key market voices and the themes that they are eyeing in the current market. Hear out word from market experts as we bid you goodbye on this special edition of your trades. Thank you so much for watching.
Pharma basket has a 6% weight on the index. And you look at balance sheets, completely deleveraged. You look at opportunities. Quarter on quarter, the US publishes numbers on shortages. It's happening to Europe. So if there's shortages in different parts of the world, there's pricing pressures that have abated, and Indian balance sheets are strong. Companies have started, announcing buybacks and, measures that can bring investors in. And most important, index weightages are low, which means these are under-owned spaces. So pharma is I'm a big believer in pharma. Sustainability, recycling, waste disposal, that's one, that's a smaller theme. Maybe chemicals if you want to be, but that's, again, China dependent, so you've got to be a bit careful. But definitely the larger spaces, telecom, infra and pharma would be two names that I would be very bullish on.
Chemical as a sector opportunity for 10 years remained very promising, very good. No doubt on that. But there was a period when you kind of went through a big pain. So similar things is happening in defense and railways, where long-term opportunity is definitely very good. We've been buying consumer, we still like IT, there are very interesting IT companies doing at 30%, 25-30% available at 25-30 times. So, we like chemical, specialty chemical space, where I think a lot of corrections have happened, and I think good promise. This sector seems to be coming back. We like pharmaceutical, where again the valuation seems to be kind of on a reasonable side.
Even insurance sector, if you look at, within the BFI size space, insurance has been a laggard, for last 4 years, whether you talk about life or general or even the health side. So I think that's a good opportunity both in the private sector as well in the public sector. That's another area which we like. And apart from our FMCG themes continue, pharma themes continue, larger infra theme continues.
The inspiration came from AU Bank, We bought it, say at 1400 crore valuation I bought, and I'm still holding, and now it is 45,000 crores market cap. I mean, whatever be the short-term challenges of the sector or the bank or whatever, the journey is long, very long. So you have to sit through. I mean, for 3-4 years, we have not made any money out of that when the market is just booming. But this is the patience you have to see. I think I have a patience now. I have a lot of patient capital. So I can sit in a business which has a fantastic long-term but very challenging short-term. And that's the spot where you'll get good quality business at reasonable price.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.